Hello and welcome to a new week of meals. I have three for you. I managed to pull together three meals after traveling for about nearly a week with my family. So we had a short little family summer trip here. But back with the first recipe. It's kind of like a garlic parm chicken thigh. So it's going to be baked chicken thighs, skin on, bone in. I've got some mayo. I've got minced garlic. I am adding a bit of the brine here because I wanted to add a little bit of tartness, a little acidity. And I've got some of the Parmesan cheese. You can use fresh shredded or grated. I have salt and pepper. I'm going to mix that all together, and that's basically just going to get plopped onto some defrosted chicken thighs. Then we're going to bake that, and I'm just going to serve it with a side of pasta. So here we go, just mixing up the sauce. Once it's seasoned to my liking, I'm going to take my baking dish here, and I didn't have any more cooking sprays, so I just put some extra virgin olive oil. I'm just going to move everything around here so that the chicken doesn't stick to the bottom of the dish. So I've got the chicken thighs, again, a bone in, skin on. You could use chicken breast, you can use boneless, skinless, whatever you want, really. And then I'm just going to take that mayo mixture, and as I mentioned, I'm just going to plop a big dollop on each of these chicken thighs. If you want to give this one a try, recipe is linked down below, so feel free to check out the description box for the link to the recipe. So one thing I did change was I believe it called for lemon juice. I didn't have that, so for the acidity and the tartness, I did add that minced garlic brine, I guess you could call it. And then the other thing was I decided to add a bit of shredded Parmesan cheese before sticking it in the oven. So this is now almost ready to go, and then you'll see me just do a bit of parm right here. So in hindsight, I probably should have done this maybe 5 minutes before it was ready to be pulled out of the oven, just so that it didn't get too burnt or what do you call it? Yeah, so the cheese wouldn't get too burnt. But what I did instead was do a little tin foil tent for the last probably about 10 minutes or so it didn't get too burnt. So here you see here, again, a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top of that. And then I just served this with a bit of, well, it's not spaghetti. It's, what is that? Is it rotini? I forget my pasta shapes, but it's basically pasta with marinara sauce and more shredded parm. So that was the first meal of the week. Next up, I have a tater tot casserole. Now, I don't really ever make this ever. I think this may be the first time I've done it. So what I had done, recipe for this will be linked down below. I had pre-cooked my ground beef with some diced up onion. One thing I did change, however, was I thought I had cream of mushroom soup, but I didn't. I had cream of chicken, so that is what I used. Again, recipe will be linked down below, so you can see what I put here: minced garlic, some sour cream, Worcestershire. If I missed anything, again, recipe down below. So I'm just going to mix this all together till it's well combined, and then I'm going to add some frozen mixed veggies, and then that is ready to put into the baking dish. This is super simple. These casseroles are very, very easy to do with the cream condensed soups. So here is the mixed veggies, and then that's going to go into the baking dish. Again, I'm going to go back in with some extra virgin olive oil that I'm just going to use a little pastry brush here because I don't have any cooking spray. And that's, again, just so nothing sticks to the baking dish. So I'm going to, I was going to say decant, but it's not really decanting. I'm going to put the meat mixture into the baking dish and spread it evenly. So I'm just going to take my spatula to make sure everything is evenly distributed throughout this baking dish. Recipe says to divide the cheese, and it says to go ahead and do 4 ounces on top here. As you know, I don't really measure, so I don't really know what 4 ounces looks like, but I am using up the rest of my extra sharp shredded cheese, cheddar. And then I am going to finish off with a bit of Mexican blend here, just because that's what I happen to have on hand. And then I'm going to top with my tater tots, my frozen tater tots, in one single layer, and that's going to go into the oven per the instructions. One other thing that I thought about doing was to mix the cheese into the meat filling mixture, and maybe I'll give that a try next time. I thought, oh, maybe that might give it a nice kind of ooey gooey cheesiness about it, but this turned out really good. So here I am about, oh, I don't remember how long it was. I think 40 minutes or so, 45 minutes. And then I'm going to top with more cheese, and then that's going to go into the oven for about 5 minutes. I did put it in for that 5 minutes, and then I switched to broil for about, like a couple minutes, just so it got brown, nice and golden brown. So this is the Mexican cheese blend again, and then back into the oven it will go. There you go, right out of the oven, nice and bubbly golden brown cheese on top, nice and melted inside as well. This was really, really good. It does have a different flavor profile, I imagine, than if I had used the cream of mushroom. Cream of mushroom is pretty distinct. The cream of chicken gave it a little bit more of a, well, chicken flavor, but I think also kind of more of a tartness, or maybe it was the sour cream that I had added to it that gave it a bit of a tartness. But next time I'm going to try with the cream of mushroom, because I think that would be really good as well. But any cream condensed soup mix I think would work really, really well. There you go. That's what it looks like, nice and blurry because it didn't focus. And I would definitely wait to eat this, give it about at least a good 10-15 minutes to cool off and to sort of not solidify, but just to thicken up a little bit so it slices better. But this was really, really yummy. This was a splurge for me with the tater tots, but so worth it. This was delicious and easy and really, really, really filling. Last up, I'm going to do hamburger patties with some stuffed jalapenos, like a, is that what they're called? Just stuffed jalapeno poppers kind of like thing. So I'm taking half of this ground beef here because that was about 2.5 pounds. So I'm just taking half of that, seasoning with some onion powder, some garlic salt, which I'm trying to use up because I never really use garlic salt a whole lot. And we've got some black pepper here. I'm just mixing everything in the container just because, I don't want to have to wash another bowl if I don't have to. So just carefully try to not to overwork the meat here, but mixing all of the seasonings into the ground beef. So I'm going to make this into a little log and just basically divide it up into 5 more or less even mounds of ground beef. And I'm going to make about 5 patties. So I'm not actually going to mold them into patties or form them into patties right now. I initially was going to do that, but I thought, you know what, let's do smash burger style. That way I don't have to form the patties. So I've got, like I mentioned, about 5 or so more or less equal pieces of ground beef here that I'm just making into big old balls. And then I'm going to stick that into the refrigerator until I'm ready to cook them off. In the meantime, while those are sitting in the fridge, I'm going to make my stuffed jalapeno peppers here. So really simple, 3 ingredients. It's going to be jalapenos, it's going to be cream cheese, and it's going to be bacon. So no recipe for this, just kind of, I've been meaning to make this forever because I love jalapeno peppers. They're just so good. So I'm prepping my peppers here, just slicing them in half. These are pretty big, I have to say. You can leave the seeds and ribs in if you want to, but I decided to clean them out. I do like spicy food, and maybe I should have left some ribs in, but yeah, these weren't very spicy at all. So I'm just taking the ribs and the seeds out just to make it nice and easy to stuff. So I'm going to do that, finish that up, and then I will stuff with cream cheese. And of course, when it was time to add the cream cheese, I realized, I hadn't really softened this. So my go-to way of rectifying that is to just kind of cut cream cheese or butter, say if you needed to soften butter up really quickly, is just to cut them in smaller cubes. That way they defrost, or they warm up a little bit faster. So I'm doing that with the cream cheese. I'm going to walk away for about like 5-10 minutes, and then I'll come back and then I'll use those in the jalapeno peppers. Now to stuff, I'm just going to take a cube of cream cheese, and I'm going to fill each of these pepper halves with the cream cheese. Now, the other thing I thought I could do was maybe either top with more cheddar cheese. A sharp cheddar cheese would be really good because it adds even a little bit more salt. If you like that kind of flavor, if you prefer cheddar cheese, I suppose you could also mix the cheddar cheese into the cream cheese. I think that would be good as well. But I didn't have any sharp cheddar. If you remember, I used all of my sharp cheddar in the casserole from the previous meal. So here we go, just finishing off the cream cheese blocks or cubes in the jalapeno halves here. And I have 2 little cubes left that you bet I ate those a little bit later. So I'm taking the bacon now, and I'm just going to wrap each half of the jalapeno peppers in some bacon, and then that's going to go into the air fryer. I cooked these in the air fryer at 350 for about 15 minutes or so, just until the bacon was, to my preferred doneness or crispness. So that is exactly what I'm doing here. Finish wrapping these up, and then I'm going to stick them in the air fryer. So one last optional step, if you'd like. I decided to go ahead and pin the bacon down with some toothpicks that I had soaked in water. I did soak them in water because I didn't want to risk, these pieces of wood catching fire in the air fryer. So I did soak them in water for a bit. So I'm just pinning down like the loose end of the bacon. I didn't want it to unravel. Bacon has a tendency to kind of lose its shape when it's heated up, gets kind of curled or, so I'm just trying to pin it down. I'm going to see if it works. as I mentioned, I don't think I've done this. I have not done this before, so I'm going to put those into the air fryer and see how it turns out. So I was only able to fit, you know, how many is that? 6 of them in the air fryer, and then I had 2 left over, so I did a second little batch later. But this is what they look like when they come out. Halfway through, I pulled the toothpicks out because I didn't want them to really dry out and burn. So, but there you go. That is the finished jalapeno poppers, and I'm just going to move on to now the sort of smash burger. And I didn't smash this super thin because I wasn't going to serve it with a bun or anything like that, but I'm just going to cook that until it's pretty much done. I'm going to top mine with Gouda cheese. You can do this on the grill if you have a grill, but I decided to do it in the skillet, and that is residual bacon fat. That is right. I had prepped some bacon for some breakfast and things like that, so I'm just using that bacon fat that's in there because it's kind of delicious. So there we go. Again, topped with Gouda. I'm going to put a little lid on it just to kind of help melt the cheese, and then I will be ready to serve this meal. And there you go, finished dinner. 1 beef patty with Gouda cheese topped with homemade Thousand Island to serve on a bit of salad mix here. And then we've got a couple of jalapeno poppers. So that is the dinner for the evening. Hope you guys enjoyed the 3 meals I shared with you today. I appreciate you guys being here. I will see you in the next video. Take care until then. 2 heavy hearts is not a lie.